This week I learned Ronald D. Moore plus outer space equals must-watch television. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as we are officially into October, guys. Spooky season's here. It has started. It is official. You can start that clock. You can begin your spooky season reads, guys. But lots of fun stuff to talk about this week. I went ahead and held this until Saturday so I could do it at the beginning of October. Isn't that fun? Well, guys, let's begin like usual. What am I reading? I started and finished The Troop. Yes, I know last week's weekly update, I didn't even mention that I was going to start this. Well, I started literally like the minute I finished recording that episode because I felt like it. You know, I've been having that fantasy burnout a little bit, so I said, let's go ahead and just shift it gears a little bit and try some horror. And if I hadn't had prior obligations with family stuff, I would have finished this book probably in one day. It's very gripping, very much a page turner. For once, the Stephen King blurb on the front did not lie to me because I still haven't forgiven him for The Hunger by Omakatsu. Wow. But this, guys, this was very, very good. And the thing was, like almost everyone recommended it to me because I'm a King fan. Because I like things like Carrie, I think this very much has an homage to Carrie in the way that it does the like newspaper clippings and court reports and things like that in between chapters. Very much made me think of Carrie, but it's also got a little bit of coming of age horror, maybe a little bit of John Carpenter's The Thing kind of wrapped up in there. So lots of fun things in this book. And I say fun lightly because, guys, this is a very disturbing book. This is a book that's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to make you feel a little queasy. It's going to make you not be hungry for quite a while, but it was very good. It's a very good read if you can handle all that stuff. A lot of people told me they thought they were surprised how much I liked it, being that my oldest kid's about the age of the kids in this book. Here's the thing: out of the 5 kids, I think, without spoilers, a couple of them are already kind of psychopaths, so that made it a little easier to stomach what was going on. But still, yeah, there's some feels in here as well. But guys, I think that you will enjoy it. Again, like I said, if you aren't grossed out easily, because it is very disgusting. There are some very disgusting descriptions and events that happen in here, but a very, very great way to kick off spooky season, guys. Very, very excited. So thank you, obviously, to the viewer. I think it was Dustin that sent me this book. If it was you, Dustin, thank you. If not, whoever sent me that book, I appreciate it. And all of you guys have been recommending it to me. Yeah, you were correct once again. As for on digital, I was reading The Wolf's Hour by Robert McCammon, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I think this is going to be my first miss with McCammon. Now, it's not a bad book. It's just when you're following up Boy's Life and Swan Song, 2 books that are probably in my top 10 that I've read this year, one of them maybe in my top 10 books ever, I think that it was very tough shoes to fill, but I think I'm not very much into the espionage genre. I love like James Bond movies. I love war movies. I love westerns. But when it comes to books of that genre, I don't really go for it. And with this, it's like I really like the werewolf stuff. The werewolf stuff's great, like the backstory about how this character became a werewolf, and the coming of age stuff, obviously really, really good, but the actual like story proper in real time with the espionage and the Germans and all that stuff, it's fine. It's fine. Again, like I said, not a bad book. I think the bar was just set way too high with McCammon with those first couple. So I think if you're really into supernatural horror, thriller, espionage, I don't know, I think that might be something more that you would be more into than me. But for me, again, like I said, it's not a bad book, but it's kind of a book that, an hour after you finish it, you're not thinking about it anymore. And that's not the case with the first 2 Robert McCammon books I haven't stopped thinking about. But going to continue with McCammon. I'm hoping to get maybe more into just some more of his character studies. I think that more is the stuff that I really did enjoy with those 2 books. And then, guys, I started Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. I'm about 2/3 done with that one. So yeah, as you can tell, this week I've been really moving along pretty briskly when it comes to the horror genre. I think with Between Two Fires I think it is a really good book. I think that a lot of people might have overrated it just a bit because I think it's good. I'm just not finding it as mind blowing as everyone else apparently has. I think it is really good. I also think that maybe because it's so similar to Hellmouth by Giles Christian, I thought that Hellmouth was better. And I know it's hard to compare these because one's a novel, one's a 60-page short story or novella. But I liked the way that Hellmouth was presenting some of these things a little better. It was much more straight horror, whereas this one is very much, that time, what it was like living through the bubonic plague at the time. And I love the ideas that he's presented here. I really do. I want you to understand, I am enjoying the book. I think that my expectations might have been a bit high for it, maybe, because there are some things I'm like, that's fine. I wish we could get back to this. I wanted to just be straight up horror, because it says on the front, a tale of medieval horror, and it has horrific things, but it is still very much just, just living through the plague, which I'm sure was very horrific, obviously. But you know what I mean. I wanted some monsters and some creeps and some ghouls and things like that. And we do have some really good. I love the idea of Lucifer being the one who basically created the plague. I think that's a great idea. And that's not a spoiler. Guys, that's page 1. All right. So I think that's a really neat idea. And I'm sure that the ending is going to have some really, really crazy stuff, because some stuff's happened recently. I'm like, wow, I did not expect that. But I really like the main trio of characters here. Pierre Matthew, I love Delphine, obviously, and Thomas is great. So I'm liking a lot of their backstories that they're telling each other. Some really good stuff. But yeah, right now it's like, okay, well, I mean, the Troop, really, really good. Wolf's Hour, not so much. This, really good. So horror season, or spooky season overall, is off to a really great start here with those books. And that leads me, guys, to what am I going to read? Now, obviously, I'm going to finish Between Two Fires. I imagine I'll finish that this weekend, because I'm rolling through it, and I'm rolling through it pretty quickly. I wouldn't be shocked if I finished that this evening, maybe. But I think by Monday, I'll probably be done. Then I'm going to keep working on Blackest Heart. Yes, I know I keep talking about my fantasy burn. I am doing like a chapter or two at a time, but it's still slow going for me. Like I said, Lonesome Crown doesn't come out until the end of November, so no rush for me on that. Again, I know I sound like a broken record here. It's nothing about the book. It is really just a fantasy thing. I couldn't pick up like a Drizzt book right now, or a Dresden Files book right now, and probably make it through it. That's just a me thing. I get a few more of these horror books under my belt. I feel like I'm going to kind of move on. Now, I didn't know which book to pick up after Between Two Fires as far as my spooky season reads go. So I did what any content creator would do, and I left it up to the people. And for once, I put a poll up on Twitter, because I don't do that one very much. And I know I make all the jokes about Twitter and stuff too, but if you have a very, very small window where all you talk about on there is just sports and books, I feel like it can be an okay place, as long as your filters are working really, really well. But there are a lot of fellow content creators, a lot of book readers on there that I have talked to. So I put up a poll about which of these 4 books should I read. And there's kind of a hitch here, is that The Exorcist won. And I thought, okay, I guess I'll be starting The Exorcist next. Well, I know I've told you guys that my wife and I will both be reading The Exorcist this month. She's finishing up a book, and she says, I'm not ready to start The Exorcist yet. Do you mind waiting? So I said, okay. So I'll take what finished second place in that poll, which was Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. Another one I'm very excited about, because like McCammon, this is one that is recommended to me based off of my love of Stephen King books. Specifically, It. You went to my review of The Stand, and everyone recommended Swan Song, and you go to It, and everybody recommends Boy's Life and Summer of Night. So Boy's Life, I check, and this one I'm hoping to get the same thing. Now, Dan Simmons obviously wrote one of my favorite sci-fi books of all time in Hyperion. So I know that I like the guy's writing. I love The Terror. I thought The Terror was a slow burn, but very good. Actually, I think that was my first historical fiction book. But with this one, a lot of people have said he does the slice of life thing that I like so much, but he does it very much at the beginning of the book, and that loses a lot of people. I'm fine with that. Give me the first half of the book introducing me to all these kids and getting me attached to them, then let all the creepy stuff start happening to them. I'm fine with that. So I think this is actually a really great one to start the horror season with, just based off of what I know about it. So excited to do that. Obviously, early next week, we're going to be getting this, and I can't wait. I am really, really excited, because literally tons of people that I know that love it told me that if they had a book that they had to compare it to one-to-one, this would be it, and not in a copying kind of way, but just very much if it feels the kind of same feelings you had reading it, which is excellent. It's my second favorite book of all time, behind only Dune, you guys. So that's very, very big shoes to fill, but I'm going to make sure that I keep my expectations checked, because you will notice a couple times of these books I'm saying I think my expectations were too high. So I'm going to get back to setting my expectations down here, and hopefully that'll make things go a little smoother. But that's pretty much it. I guess we should move along to this week on the channel. Wow. coffee got cold quick. Throne Zone number 6. We did that episode. What was that? The Princess and the Queen. Some fun discussion over there as always. I know that the show seems to just be getting bigger and bigger, but our audience for that show keeps getting smaller and smaller. But that's fine. Guys, I know not everybody gets a chance to catch up to those or have the time to watch an hour-long live stream. We appreciate those people who can make it, and that's just a fun time for us to talk about that, because it really does feel like the water cooler show is back for everyone to talk about the next day, and we are excited to keep doing that. I did my TBR for the fall. That's going to be October, November, and December, because I constantly say, what do people love more than me talking about a book of what I've read? They love to hear me talk about what I'm going to read, and that's always a fun conversation. So you guys already knew everything that I was reading in October. That talks about November and December. Got a lot of positive feedback. People are really excited. Then we'll be dipping back into The Realm of the Eldlings by Robin Hobb, obviously, and Ash and Sand by Richard Nell. There's an Expanse. I think that was the ones that I got the most warm reception for, those 3 series. So excited as always to return to all those. I feel like all 3 of those are different enough that I won't feel any overlap there. But I think it's a little ambitious, because you look at November in that, and I've got 5 books that are all about this long. So I'm doubting that I'm going to get through all those, but I kind of look at it this way. November, December are going to kind of wrap in together of everything that I want to read that month. So if I don't get everything done in November, no big deal. I can wrap in December. And, going to have some time off, going to have, some holidays, downtime at work and stuff. So I'm sure I'll be getting a little extra reading in that I usually wouldn't. I did another First Law video, an oft-delayed one that I kind of wanted to talk about, because the question I get the most, besides should I read the First Law, is, okay, I like the trilogy, but do I have to read the standalones before I move on to the sequel trilogy? Well, I kind of answered that question. The short answer is yes. You should read the standalones. The longer answer is a little different, but it's one of those things like, no, you don't have to read them to understand the sequel trilogy, but I think it would help quite a bit. I think you really are going to be missing a lot of context there. But I love talking about the First Law, guys, obviously. And I wasn't going to re-review all of those books the way that I have done, both spoilers and non-spoilers, for the other 6 books in the series. So I don't think I'm going to do regular non-spoiler reviews for those. But I do have spoiler discussions up for those already. They're from way back when I first started the channel. And really just encouraging a lot of people, because I know there were a lot of people that recently on the Discord that just read the original trilogy, and they're all like, okay, should we keep going? Yes, but should we read the standalones before we move on to Age of Madness? So hopefully that swayed a few of them to pick up those, because guys, I love Best Served Cold. I think Best Served Cold is just so fun. Stands right up there with the original trilogy for me. But what's great about those is everyone has a different opinion on which one of those 3 books is the best. It's really weird. Some people love one, hate one, and just about everybody likes the heroes, and it seems like everybody's kind of flip-flop. They either love Red Country and don't really care for Best Served Cold, or they love Best Served Cold and don't really care for Red Country. I am the latter. So a little something for everyone with those 3 books, and they are all 3 books very, very different from one another. I think that's what really makes them special, so you still feel like you're in the First Law universe, but it's a much, much different take to each one. So yeah, always going to recommend that. Did a video for Mike's media reviews. If you don't know, you missed last week, or you missed the updates recently. I did start a secondary channel where I'm just going to be talking about everything that is not book related, and Mike's media reviews seem to be the most proper name for it. But I talked about our Fright Fest movie schedule. And if you don't know what that is every year, my wife is not crazy about horror movies, but she gets, into the season in October, and she says, okay, I am ready to watch horror movies in October. So every single year we would pick out a ton of movies just to try to cram them all in October, and it just become like a thing now where we basically present like 30 movies, and then her and I kind of vote on them and have like our power rankings of which ones we're actually going to watch. So I just kind of talk about that list and talk about how we incorporated the kids into it this year, movies I'm going to watch with my older kid, and some family movies we're going to watch together with a younger kid included as well. It's just fun just to talk about some horror movies, and some very, very popular picks, and some picks that some people are like, I've never heard of that movie. And hey, I'm always willing to have those discussions with people over there. So Mike's media reviews, guys, I hope you'll join me over there, because I love to talk about things besides just books, and I got a lot of things to say. Going to have lots of new content coming on that channel there pretty soon, guys. But let's go ahead and talk about some next week plans here. I am going to be wrapping up September and talking about the book of the month. It was kind of a sluggish month for me. Like I said, having that fantasy burnout really just kind of put a big black eye on the month for me. It's cold, but I keep drinking it. It's weird. It's weird. Cold coffee is better than no coffee, I guess. But yeah, I've already decided what I'm going to pick for my book of the month. Not as hard of a decision for me for this month as it was last month, obviously. And then, of course, always wrapping up the month, which was a very, very good month for the channel, actually, as far as growth goes. I think every time you have a new Stephen King book and you do a review for it right away, it's going to get a lot of new eyes on your channel. So I think that kind of helped for some of the growth this month. But I'm excited to talk about everything I did this month. We'll be doing Throne Zone number 7. I'm not sure what the name of the episode is yet. But again, guys, every single Monday night, as long as the season goes, or for 4 more weeks. And then we'll probably do a wrap-up show as well, maybe with a guest. That's always going to be something we try to do with a wrap-up show, is add a guest. But yeah, we're excited, as always, to talk to you guys every Monday. Hope you'll join us live, 7:30 p.m. Houston time, Central Daylight Time. Now it's about to switch back to Standard Time, ain't it? But you know what I mean. And we would love to have you there. Love having conversations with the people in the comments while we are live. That is really, really great. I didn't get to my Into the Multiverse for the Green Mile this week, so I'm going to try to do it next week. And then I have one more idea for Mike's Media Reviews, since there is a new Mike Flanagan series. And if you don't know, Mike Flanagan is like my favorite guy working in horror right now. I think the guy is brilliant. He's never made anything bad at all. So it's going to be a really, really tough decision for me to say I want to try to rank all of his work on film and TV and streaming. So that's what I'm going to kind of do. I don't know yet if I'm going to do one of those tier list things that you guys love. I don't know if I'm going to just flat out rank them, but I'm going to rank all of the Mike Flanagan movies, TV, and streaming series, everything that he has written and directed. And I think that'll be a fun conversation because Mike Flanagan, again, I think it's one of those directors that a lot of people don't realize how much stuff he's had that's been really, really great. And they'll be surprised when they see some of the stuff on there. And I want to get that out before Midnight Club, because I think if I try to do it after Midnight Club, the recency bias will kick in. I'll feel like I'm putting it too low or too high, and I haven't had enough time to sit on it and think about it. Because like if I had done this right after Midnight Mass last year, I would have had no idea where I was putting Midnight Mass because it was so fresh. So now that I've had a year to think about that, I think it'll be really great. But Mike Flanagan is a genius, and I would love to talk about it over on Mike's Media Reviews. Hope you guys will join me over there. Before I go, there is a quick little bit of TV and movie talk. I did watch The Black Phone with my wife. That is the adaptation of the Joe Hill short story. I am doing what I call 5-minute movie reviews over on Mike's Media Reviews. I'm going to kind of talk about it a little bit, obviously a little bit longer over there, 5 minutes if you consider that longer. It's going to be longer than here, but we enjoyed it a lot. Much more of a thriller, I think, than a horror movie, but very, very good. We enjoyed it quite a bit. I definitely would say don't watch that one with the kids, guys, because while we might not have found it scary, I think that anyone under like 13 or 14 probably would get kind of creeped out by that movie because of the abduction and the child abuse scenes will really probably freak young kids out. But yeah, a great flick. It's on streaming on Peacock. That's what we watch it on. So I hope you guys will check it out. Ethan Hawke, directed by Scott Derrickson, always is a good time. They did Sinister together, and I think that you guys will like what you find there, especially if you like the Conjuring movies, because it is very much in that same, like, recorded in the 70s is when it takes place, so it kind of has that same kind of aesthetic and feel to it. Watch out, Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers is coming back with Nosferatu, a remake of the silent film classic. Now, I have had wild opinions about Robert Eggers. I did not care for The Witch. I thought it was a beautifully shot movie, wonderfully acted, but the story was Same with The Lighthouse. Amazingly acted, beautifully shot. Crap story. It didn't really work for me. So I said I was going to give him one more chance with The Northman, and I thought it was fantastic. Beautifully shot, wonderfully acted, and very well written. So I feel like I'm back in on this. Now, as far as Nosferatu, guys don't know this movie was basically released illegally. They couldn't get the rights to make Dracula, so they made their own movie, which was basically just a rip-off of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and they basically got like a cease and desist. And they said, okay, we're just going to can the film, and then it leaked. And that's how it became like the cinema horror classic that we know it as today. I think this is a perfect director to kind of go back at this. And I think Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the new version of It, playing the title character is a great, great pick. So I am quite intrigued to see what he does with this, because it's one of those things where I think that Robert Eggers is going to get some wild, varied opinions no matter what he does. But the fact that this guy has no interest in making, I think what you would call modern films. He has no interest in making superhero movies or glossy formulaic studio movies. He wants to do his own thing. And thankfully there are still studios that are giving directors like this a chance. Look, regardless of how I feel about the guy's movies, I've liked 1 out of 3 so far. I think that Hollywood needs more people like this that are willing to do something different. So I will always encourage that, young filmmakers that want to do something different, not just there for the paycheck. They really believe in what they're doing. Yeah, I'm there for it for sure. I want to close this, guys, by talking about this show on Apple TV that people have been railing on me for a long time to watch. I love Ronald D. Moore. Now, if you don't know who that is, Ronald D. Moore, he was a writer on Star Trek Next Generation. He was the lead writer on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He was the showrunner and writer for Battlestar Galactica, the modern version. He is I think he's just a writer. I don't think he's doing the show running thing all the way on Outlander. So the guy, he's a great writer. I think the guy is an incredible character writer. He writes his characters so incredibly well. So when For All Mankind came out, I thought for sure, yeah, this would definitely be something I'd be into, but I didn't have Apple TV at the time. So a friend of mine was really excited for me to watch because he knows I love Battlestar Galactica. He says this is his best thing since Battlestar Galactica. I know you will love it. So he's like, here's my Apple password. Watch this episode. And I watched the first episode and I liked it, but I was like, I don't know. But people would not leave me alone about it. Everyone, Mike, this is the most amazing show. You were going to just keep trying. You're going to love it. Now, look, I love the premise of this show, that Russia beat the United States to the moon in 1969. But the space race didn't end. The space race just escalated after that. And they kept one-upping each other. And I'm in season 2 now, guys, and it's into the 1980s. And this is the most emotionally gripping show I have watched in years, and it just has Ronald D. Moore's DNA all over it. It is incredible. I might talk about it at length more over on Mike's Media Reviews because there's just so much to say. It is a stunning show, but oh my God, guys, the character work on this show is so good. And I'm going to say something that some people are going to feel uncomfortable with this, but if you'll listen to what I'm saying here, I think you'll understand what I mean and don't make assumptions. I was apprehensive about the show because in the trailer, I'm not going to lie, it kind of looked like a girl boss show. And look, I have no problem with girl boss shows. I think there's a place for those. They're great. I'm a 44-year-old male. I'm not really excited to watch girl boss shows, okay? It's not, guys. It is so wonderfully written, and I'll be honest with you, I love every single lady character on the show. It's so well written. It's so well earned. There are no Mary Sues. There are no toxic males or none of that stuff, guys. This doesn't have any of that agenda stuff that, you might have some stuff that you kind of might be like, I bet they're kind of saying that, but this is dealing with alternate history. So there's going to be things that you're noticing and things that you're not. It presents amazing ideas, but what I like is the show has an incredibly positive message. It doesn't say, this is why America is terrible. It doesn't say, this is what we should have done differently. It has, look, bad things happen, and you know what? America puts on their boots, they pull up their shorts, and they get back to work, and they keep working. And I think it's just a positive show. It really is. Bad things happen. Terrible things happen. It is emotionally destroying. I found my allergies flaring up several times, especially with the stuff where it will make you think about, man, maybe I haven't been the best parent. It's very good at doing that. It's just so incredibly well written, guys. And if you are like me and you love characters, man, there is no better show on TV right now that really is a character study on about 8 main cast members. It's so good, you guys. I was completely blown away, and I am so thankful you guys kept just hammering me to watch this show because you were right. It is easily the best thing he has done since Battlestar Galactica, and I am loving it. I blew through season 1 basically in a couple days. I'm about halfway through season 2 right now. I imagine I'll be caught up to real time here within a week or two because I can't stop thinking about the show. It's in my head now, and I just, even though I know with Ronald D. Moore, don't get too attached to these characters. You know how Ronald does. I still am. I have found myself attached to every single character, and I'm like, don't take them away from me already. So the man's amazing. He's an amazing writer. That whole team over there is amazing. I love alternate history. It makes me think of like The Man in the High Castle, which I really did like as well. This is better than that, I think. It's really good, especially if you really are a fan of outer space and NASA. Obviously, I live in Houston, guys. Big fan of NASA and space. I'm a space nerd. I don't talk about it a ton on the channel. But yeah, this stuff is just so good. And I love me some American history. So I love all these things that it's doing. And it's just neat to see the differences in that timeline and our timeline. So very much if like you're a Dark Tower fan, you kind of look at this as like, hey, this is another Path of the Beam, a couple of changes, and this is how the world would have changed. It's a really, really neat idea. And yeah, the mind of Ronald D. Moore is just amazing, you guys. Guy continues to just crush it on everything he does. I can't wait to continue, and I can't wait to see what he does next. But guys, that was my week. What was your week like? Why don't you drop in the comments and let me know, and I will talk to you there.